Oh, hello, everybody, and welcome to the TZS Podcast. I'm DRF, and I guess we'll go around the horn here, as we say in my company stand-up meetings. We'll go counterclockwise. I think that's for the best.
Good morning, welcome back everyone. I am Vapor, and once again we are back with the TZS Podcast, and we have a lot of topics to get through as well.
Hello, I'm Kraken Mayor. I'm here to push buttons. Thanks, Mewtwo.
You're free, Mew. You're free.
You're free.
Mewtwo, let's remember, PG-13, buddy. PG-13.
Do you guys want to know what I did yesterday at 11 p.m.?
Your
I'd sleep.
Schoolwork, I hope.
I dreamt about a girl.
All right, well, that's all we need. Okay.
Cool. Mewtwo is hiding from us because society is too scary, as per his own words. So,
you know what? That is also fair. Society is scary.
I hate society as much as I hate happy couples. You don't want to know what
all right.
Anyways.
7.
Anyways, David, you want to introduce us to the topics we have today?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Introduce us.
Like this. Is this supposed to be like Jeopardy, where like it's like here are your this round's topics, and it's like, you know, like science, and you know,
it's very long. It's a very long.
It
list.
is very long.
I mean, I can't exactly read that.
Here, I'll zoom in.
I don't think the viewers can either. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on with the topics box.
Well, for our first topic of the day is CCA.
Yeah, I'll make it easier for you to read. Is that better?
Oh, okay. So like by the Jeopardy categories: CCA,
yeah.
CCA, PCA, and CCA.
Yeah, exactly. Now you get it.
Gotcha. Okay, Ken Jennings would be proud.
For reference, I did that to him. David didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Because he joined call literally a minute before we were supposed to start.
Yes, as literally my workday ended, I like logged off and then turned on the camera for TZS. So we're here. We're with minimal preparation, but we don't need much preparation because I don't know. We've all been hanging out for like 3 years now. You know, we can start a topic anywhere and see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, don't tell that to Mewtwo. Don't tell that to Mewtwo.
I'll start the conversation.
Oh no!
And don't mind me. I got too lazy to put in my contacts today, so you get me in glasses today. I just realized I'm gonna join the glasses gang.
Well, I will. Do you want to start the topic? I say that very reluctantly. You know, I'm sure you have maybe questions or thoughts, or I don't know. I guess maybe before actually, you know, we start there, maybe we should give context as to why this is what we are going to be talking about. Because this is the TZS podcast and not the CCA podcast. And I think, you know, in case those of you that are watching don't know, so myself and, you know, a number of UC Steam Purdue people founded the CCA back in 2020. So we are approaching the 5-year anniversary of the Collegiate Cephalopod Association. Actively aging as we speak. Yeah, so I basically know all of the ins and outs of the CCA. Vapor is a fellow staff member who mainly handles production and is also a player for PSU. Kraken is a national champion with PSU back in season 4. Season 4.
All seasons that you offered it, just saying. Is that 2-time or 3-time all day? 3-time.
3-time all day player.
And it should have been. It would have probably, as you said, it probably would have been 4 if you offered in season 1. Just saying.
Yes, it probably would have been in season 1. Because realistically, there was like 4 or 5 players. You know, and I mean, season 1 was also a lot smaller.
I'd say there was like 5 players in the entire thing. To be fair,
yeah. and then, of course, Mewtwo is an active college student who has interest in the CCA. Unfortunately, no team at Mew's college yet, but Mew has commentated for us a bunch of times, and I guess now most famously has led the I've seen DRF at a grocery store pickup team in the CCA, and also maybe better known as Brian's son.
Yep, that's me.
So we all have ties to the CCA in some capacity, and I think we all really just try to lift up that community because at least in my book, it is one of, if not the best organizations that the Splatoon community has to offer for a number of different reasons.
The only organization.
What?
I'm just kidding. There are multiple organizations, unfortunately, in the.
What do you mean, unfortunately?
Unfortunately,
there needs to be multiple organizations. Like
it's a bit too much, in my opinion. I think that we have oversaturated the scene.
I think the collegiate scene is probably one of the few scenes that are parts of the scene that are not oversaturated.
I honestly just think the Splatoon community scene should just die.
I think we have to fire Mewtwo from this call.
Mew's just chiming in with the rest of Twitter on the whole the Splatoon community is dying train.
Yeah,
you gotta join that train for this. It's been the topic the last week or so.
Apparently, so I don't know. It is what it is. But anyways, so like I said, we all have connections to the CCA in some way, and the CCA's been doing some cool stuff. And I think that this is more or less just an opportunity to have a more for lack of a better term, unfiltered, conversation about the cool things that the CCA is doing, some of our different opinions and ideas about the CCA and as it pertains to the rest of the community, and all that jazz. So Mew, I will reluctantly again throw this back to you because I think you said you wanted to start the conversation. So what where do you want to start?
I want to add one more disclaimer before we get started.
Yes, Vapor, very important actually. Yes, please add this disclaimer.
Whatever we say that goes to any of us, myself, DRF especially, as staff members of CCA, we are not representing CCA as a whole. We are representing our own personal views.
He's lying. He's lying. The Vapor's lying. This is representative of the entire organization. This is not a joke. My message is not a joke. I'm the one with the control panel. I should have muted him.
Oh God.
Okay, we got background and disclaimers out of the way. Now Mewtwo.
You want my unfiltered opinion about the CCA?
Filtered. Filtered.
Yeah, please, filtered, please. But nonetheless, you can start the conversation. Give us a place to start at.
PG-13, please.
Hold on. Give me 1 second.
Oh no.
Is it gonna be a chicken sandwich?
PG-13. Freshmen can be under 18, so we can only say PG-13.
And who knows, we might have younger people watching here now that may be interested in CCA in the future.
Exactly, like Vapor.
Yeah, like Vapor, exactly. I mean, you did. To be fair, Vapor, that's what happened with you. Remember, you were
it is true.
You weren't in college yet, and you were interested in CCA. So, see.
Right. What's the topic?
Whatever you wanted to start on, Mewtwo. It sounded like you had a place you wanted to start. That's why we threw it over to you.
Wait, really? Oh, okay.
No thoughts at MP.
So, you want my opinion? I'll give you my opinion about the CCA.
Here's all a mess.
I think it is one of the best ran organizations that I have ever been a part of, considering it's the only organization I've ever been a part of, Splatoon related. But you could really tell that they are motivated and that they are willing to put a lot of time and effort into a product that they are not being compensated for, and I think that's really beautiful because the Splatoon community is just known for pulling themselves up by their bootstraps, and so I think it's really commendable what they're doing.
Mew, why does it sound like you have like a gun to your head right now, like saying this? like you sound like you're being forced to say that.
I sent some ninjas over to him. He must be PG-13 or else.
Is there a reason your webcam is off? Is that why? I didn't tell anyone to CCA that this was the discussion being had, so like nobody could have like sent over Mr. Mario or anything like that to threaten you.
I feel like his words are truthful, but it's but I'm scared. What?
Oh, okay. I don't need that. What was I saying? Yeah, I think. Sorry, there was a burp. I think what CCA does is really like I've never seen it. I've never seen anything like that before from an organization like that. So I think CCA deserves all the credit that they could possibly get. Obviously, they're going to be a bit humble and be like, "No, don't give us that much." But they're going to be like, "Yeah," behind the scenes. I think they deserve a lot more acknowledgement. I think the CCA deserves more acknowledgement than they do currently, because I think the product that they have is better than some tournament organizations that I have seen. And I think that everyone should follow the CCA's example of working hard behind the scenes in order to give out a good quality product without having to constantly ship out 3 fucking tournaments a week from some organization. Because the CCA, they really
this is the biggest run-on sentence.
This really is.
Are you a college student for real? Or are you gaslighting us?
Hold on. So you could really tell that CCA prioritizes quality over quantity, period. Also, I think that CCA is a great example of what to do when making an organization, because they are the best organization. There's no one better than the CCA.
Bro, you said that like 4 times. Thank you. I'll let you keep glazing the CCA. Like, that is totally fine by me.
Then,
this bro is the most monotone I've ever heard him be monotone.
No.
And I'll talk about my time as a commentator as part of the CCA, who I think have the best.
Is this the entirety introduction paragraph?
I think they have the best stream production out of a lot of the tournament orgs that I have seen. It's some of the best. Stream quality, their streams run well. There are no bad streams. There are no bad streams at all. They just know how to get their shit together. Their shit is together in their own little shit pile. It's all together. And oh yeah, my time as a commentator. Yes.
Where's their shit pile at? That's what I want to know. Where do they keep it? Like,
I don't
together.
know. They just tell me about it, but they don't take me there.
That's a question for David.
My time as a commentator has been pretty good. Just want to say that it always amazes me how every time they release a schedule, I actually have a chance of being one of those commentators.
I will say, Mew, that on that note, you have been one of our most clutch commentators at times. So I think I can speak for a number of folks within the CC that even though sometimes that we are mildly afraid of what you may or may not say on stream, we know that you are ultimately like, if we message you, you're like, hey, we need a commentator, you're instantly just like, yeah, screw it, I'll do it. Like, I don't know, it's pretty cool. So I do want to give you that shout out.
Are you being murdered right now?
No.
Did you say something that we weren't?
Anyways,
I appreciate that, my brother.
so, but yeah, I
a little
do
too excited about that. Just a little bit.
maybe
Went from
possibly.
the most monotone to super excited in a weird way. But it's kind of
Yeah.
What else was I going to say? I think being a commentator is very cool. The stream production is very cool.
I mean, well, okay, we could go in circles here, Mew, but
No,
like, I will say thank you, genuinely thank you.
Thank you for the 10-minute monologue.
I'm forming a thought now. I'm starting to form my first thought. Okay,
You
Give me
have
one
thoughts?
You're starting to form your first thought. That is wild.
So, even though I have landed myself in some hot water, I know behind the scenes the CCA staff agree with what I said, and they think I could do no wrong.
No wrong. I think
No.
David already said that you could do wrong.
You can very much do wrong. So like, again, I throw up a prayer, just a small, like, real quick every single time that you get on the mic. But I will say to you that you take direction very well. That the minute that we like tell you like, hey, we have, like so and so might be watching because we're always constantly working with partners. That you do a really good job of having that mental switch. That you do make it fun, but you also take it serious when we ask you to. And that has been really, really nice to have fun. So I definitely do want to add that in. So thank you. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, I guess with all of that said, all the glazing done up front.
I'm almost done.
I guess I'll kind of throw a vapor crack in. If there's anything that you guys want to talk about, because like there's 5 or 4.5 years of history that we could dive into, and I know that probably some of the more recent events that have taken place are probably the more interesting topics. But I mean, hell, we could start anywhere. If we want to start with the circuit, we want to start with past stuff.
Yeah,
I will start with a little bit of Mewtwo glazing from Neptune. They enjoyed commentating with you, Mewtwo. They said in chat. So
I commentated with Neptune.
Yes, I'm pretty sure you did during the circuit.
Wow, bro! I can't believe you just did that to Neptune, bro.
No, it's okay.
Crazy.
I commentate with a lot of big oily men, so it's hard for me to keep track because they, slip and slide all over the place. I can't do it anymore, man.
I don't even know how to respond to that. Like,
I can't do it anymore, man. I'm losing it.
Anyways, yeah, Kraken, please bring us back.
Yeah, I've been a part of CCA since the beginning, as a player, around you guys, right? Season 1. Always a good time. I played up until season 4, so that was fall of last year. So it's been about a year I've been out of playing CCA. But I played for CCA for 2 years. And it was a good time. And book bag exists. It sparkles.
Yay!
The colors come out way more on camera. They are
I was gonna
yeah,
say
they
the
do.
colors actually look like really good on
Crazy.
camera.
They do.
Like,
No, on camera
You really
they
do.
reflect well, but without it, it's like gray. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm looking at it right now. I'm like, color? Oh wait, a color on screen, and then that's not color. But they're actually a lot more gray-y, more like this to the eye. But they flash the color just a little bit. But yeah, these are the for winning the season 4.
Season 4.
I had to get that.
Yes.
The other stuff is put away, and I'm not 100% on the fly sure where I put it away at, so I don't want to dig for very long. But that's why I disappeared. I had to go get the book back because I had it right there. I still have it out from when I used it at Riptide.
Oh, you used that for Riptide?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I am happy with that. All right. No, I actually did not know. I don't. You might have mentioned it like in passing, whatever. But yeah, I don't remember that specifically. I also don't, have the
I
best
didn't carry it
memory,
around. Most
yeah, I
of
was
the
gonna
time
say you definitely. It
in
wasn't
the
like
spot.
a carry around type thing.
It was. I did carry stuff from the room to the room.
Yeah.
Our personal room to the Riptide room. So it was used, but like it mostly sat in the. Let's be real, it sat on the floor for most of the day because behind the TO desk.
Yeah, because like you don't need to carry it around the Riptide venue. Like
I didn't. Most of the stuff you brought in there are oh, I need to bring this things for TOing. Why you grab the thing out you need just like a book bag, right? Like a real book bag. It's crazy.
Yeah. No. Well, it makes me happy to know that you're using it. So I know that MSI was a big supporter for us through the first 4 seasons, which was awesome. And the pricing evolved every season. So we had the Switch carrying cases, which again super appreciative of. We needed to start somewhere. And I think that our MSI rep would probably agree that those Switch carrying cases were a good place for us to start. Well, at the end of the day, you could give or take the design at times because I know that they didn't fit certain things. But like I said, it was a good starting point, and they did a great job of catering to our audience. And then from there, they were just always asking us, okay, like how are you guys growing? How are you guys growing? Like what's the numbers now? And eventually turned to monitors. And then it was, against, then it for you all, there was the slight back and forth there that, eventually we made sure that you guys got the backpacks at least. So I'll kind of leave that one as that. Yeah, I'll kind of leave that as is. But again, not representing the organization here, but just kind of saying, there was some things that sort of happened, and not to the fault of anybody in particular. But at the very least, it does make me happy to see that you guys have your prizes and you actually use them. So
it only took like an extra 2 months for me to get it. Don't worry,
bro.
Yeah,
the goddamn mail system, man.
I've never had a problem with mail other than with Vapor.
Apparently,
I've had problems with UPS. I've had problems with FedEx. I've had problems with DHL. Never had a problem with the postal service until Vapor's involved. So.
Hey, I did what I was told to, so I don't know, man.
Okay, wait. On that note, did Nintendo use USPS or
they didn't send anything?
Well, I'm asking Vapor that.
Honestly, I don't remember.
Well, the thing is, I didn't get any of it. So, even the stuff that is digital sent for Nintendo, so it just never was sent. It was never lost. It was never sent. Thanks, Nintendo.
I mean, maybe it was sent and lost. I don't know.
Well, I didn't get my digital points or anything either. I got nothing.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I forgot digital points was part of that.
I was just not a winner, I guess, in their eyes. I'm a loser. Thanks, Nintendo.
They said CCA gave you enough.
For free, but nah.
I mean, when people can't decide on your actual name, come on, Kraken Mari, what do you want?
Wow.
That's up there with TFZ.
Yeah.
I can't believe they want us to be TFZ. No.
TFC. Yeah, classic.
I came up to ask me, hold on, I gotta go back to my DMs. Oh, we're
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't that Jordan that asked you, or not? Jordanian, whoever it is.
It would have been in a chat
Delta,
that's gone.
No,
it was not
I don't
PMs.
know who it is.
It was not PMs.
I know it's a Jordan of sorts that DM. Yeah, it was a DM for sure.
Was it?
Because you, or it was either that or was it one of the top 16 chats or top 4 chat or whatever. But I'm pretty sure it was via DMs.
It's probably either in one of the top chats or from Jordan or Crime. Probably one of the two.
I want to say it was. I remember specifically Jordan, so I want to say it was that, but maybe it was Crime.
It was TFC.
But for those of you wondering that,
neither,
what the hell we're rambling on about.
I want to say it was in a private chat, like one of the private chats I do.
Gotcha.
Yeah, which I want to point out, I didn't get a prize, and I was the captain of the team. I wasn't even a sub. I was a captain of the team, and I didn't get anything. That's the insane part. So it wasn't even like it was a sub, we screwed up, we missed him. No, it was the literal mark captain of the team. Not that we use a strong captain system in TZS. Anyway, we're getting off CCA. For dive in Nintendo, and we have to add to the topic list up here. I don't want to. It's one topic today. One.
Man, that's just classic TZS to start in one place and you just slowly drift into God knows what. So
yeah, this is why we usually say other topics half the time, because we never know what we're gonna get into.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't know where do we go from here? Do we want to stick with history and partners that we've worked with and are working with? Do we want to talk about the circuit? Do you guys have questions? Maybe, I don't know.
Let's talk about our favorite CCA moment that we were involved in.
You know what? That is a surprisingly wholesome question.
That's a good start.
And I am actually genuinely curious now. Mew, what would yours be? Because I have a couple in mind that I think would fit the bill here.
I don't know.
You're the one that asked the question.
Yeah, I thought somebody else would pick it up.
You know what? Fair enough. I will let you think about it, but I have opinions of what yours might be, and I will let you think about it, and then maybe we'll compare answers here in a bit. Okay. Maybe I'll go over to Crack and
no plagiarism between you two.
Yes.
You gotta come together, form an answer. No plagiarism here. We're representing collegiate. We don't want to plagiarism is bad.
Academic integrity.
Yes. We're here for academic integrity. The moment it's broken, the moment you cheat, you're done your ranks.
Yes.
So okay, I'll go over to Kraken then, because you got to play for basically 2 full years. It started in the beginning of 2022, and then concluded at the end of 2023.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of
Rest in peace.
I'm not gonna lie. I have no idea what the question is. What is the question?
What are your what is your favorite CCA moment that from your experience, playing and whatever?
Winning. Now, I mean, winning was great, and that was definitely peak as a competitor moment. But a lot of the times I enjoyed was outside of CCA and around the CCA, the people that are in CCA, right? So I really enjoyed doing a lot of things with our PSU folk and things like that. So but that's enabled through CCA and the competition existing to build those relationships with people, right? And that also extends to people outside of PSU. We have Neptune here in the chat. We love talking with Neptune, having a good time with them. As just a sample of one of the people. And so to me, that is the best part. If we're going best moment, I guess winning, duh. I also enjoyed working stats, especially at the beginning, as much as that was a lot of manual work. That was really good. And,
yes, that's true. You were the original stats inputter.
I was. Supposed to be me, you, Brian. I think I put in 75% of the hours.
Yeah, because I was we could just do these we'll just do these little stats inputs here and there, and you were like, no. What if we started calculating X, Y, and Z, and then started doing all these other things, and and then eventually Hoken comes in and is like, this what y'all are working on is cute. What if we took this to the next level and then we were all out of a job?
Yeah.
Not that we were paid for it, but it's for the better though, for the better.
And then, like, for example, you can see there's writing on it. I don't know how much you guys can actually read, but like as I was departing, 77 grams of sugar. You see, Snow had to do that. You can see the writing on that.
Oh wait, the whole team signed your Mountain Dew?
Yeah. Well, they did it. They did it without telling me. As I was leaving, right? Because remember, I left in the after we won in the fall of 23 or yeah. Years. I don't know what year it is. Okay, give me a moment. I'm old. And so like they all signed it and everything, and some hard to read just because of where it's written and stuff. So like that, this sits right beside me at my desk. Now that you can't always see it on stream because it's kind of I tuck it behind. Cute. My monitor so it doesn't get so much direct sunlight because I'm more I don't want it to fade as long as possible or get damaged or anything, but that this is I love looking at this in from everybody signed, and Vapor signed right there.
I did.
And so like that's to me like that means a lot, just the people, and so like that to me is the biggest moment. But as much as it is outside of CCA, it's enabled because of CCA. And I wonder if a lot of other people have similar-esque stories where, hey, we're coming for this competition, but then we make friends along the way and things like that, right? And so like that to me was really, really cool.
The monitors were the friends you made along the way.
Your Nintendo Gold points were the friends you made along the way.
There you go.
Love you too.
I love you guys. You guys are the friends you made along the way.
Well,
now get gold points. I swear it's only been like 4 years.
They can still do it. Gold. There really hasn't been. If there's one thing that hasn't been affected by inflation, it's Nintendo Gold points, right?
They slightly been inflation because we went from like $60 base games to now $70 for a lot of games, or for
that's games. A lot. So far, only Tears of the Kingdom. So far.
Okay.
So I would say no. There hasn't really been quite the inflation yet.
Come on, Nintendo, please. Can I have my gold points?
Okay. Vapor. What about yourself?
Vapor like spoons, right? Vapor. I forgot to mention that. Okay, I'll shut up. Yes! Yes! Ow! Ow. I'm old. I kept throwing out my arm. Celebrating.
When Kraken left, he gave me a bag of spoons to hand out to hand one out to all the players. So far, I've kept up with that as much as I could. And this is still the bag that is here.
How many spoons are in there? How many spoons were originally in there?
I just bought the bag. I just run out of old spoons. And so I just bought the bag and said, you know what? It's just plastic spoons. And it just became a dumb thing. We did it on the stream. Because remember, we had spoons in our hands when we won.
That is true. Yeah. That is true.
Yeah. Spoons. You're a winner, you get a spoon.
This bag, unopened, had 48 spoons.
Okay, and we're down to about half now, or a little less than half?
Probably about half. Probably about half, maybe a little bit more, probably about the...
Okay. I will just say, PSU sounds like the weirdly the most fratty,
Oh. My Discord died. Oh no! Discord! No, we're back. I think we're back.
Discord, or did we lose the stream?
We lost Discord. I think stream's okay.
Yeah.
You guys,
Stream
I can hear
looks
you guys
fine.
now. I might have to reset
Stream
Moose
looks-
thing. Moose thing has poofed. I can show you guys in a second. But it was just Discord that died. All my internet's fine. Thank you.
Okay,
Mhm.
cool.
I'll give you guys the stream in a second that you guys can see.
Yeah. I have it pulled up on the side here. I see it fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everything went
but-
there.
but-
It's just
but
funny,
yes,
right
don't-
after you called us a frat, the internet said, nah.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, apparently it's also the least reliable internet-wise, at least just from what I have consistently experienced across teams. PSU definitely is one of the
It
worst
was
offenders on
just
the internet. too.
Vapor. Like we were in the same room and Vapor would disconnect and I'd be fine.
Yeah.
Were you like underneath the router or something, or like?
We
We
were
were
one in our room.
we were literally less than 10 feet apart from each other.
Okay, what else? 10 feet too many. Like,
Hey,
Apparently.
I'd be fine. It was hilarious.
well, anyways, that is actually pretty wholesome. Tradition. Like, I don't know. Like I said, you guys have like weird, like, frat traditions, and the things that I hear out of PSU are always interesting to say the least.
Hey, we keep things spicy. That's half the fun. It's half the fun that you're supposed to do, right? Have some of that fun. As long as you're not, we're unlike other frats, we're not destroying things or having raging parties with alcohol that you're not supposed to do. Bad. So, like, it's innocent fun, like spoons. And we're not
For the most
destroying
part,
anything.
for the
We're not
most
putting
part.
spoons everywhere. We're just, here's a spoon for you. It's like just dumb shit. That's all it is.
I will say that, like,
News.
I wish that I could hear more from teams about like the stupid shit that like goes on like between their teams, like, and I say this in the nicest way possible, like, because you all have like this the spoon thing going on, and like Sun God Squad at UCSD is another good example. Like they have like a ritual with like lettuce. Like they just like all like collectively like eat like a head of lettuce or something. Like I don't exactly know what the specifics are, but they are all like lettuce fanatics, and I think they eat like lucky lettuce before a match or something like that.
Are they turtles?
The team, I believe the team is I would have to definitely double check the demographic of it, because I forget how everyone particularly identifies, but I want to say it is 4 females, and it is no. It's I want to say it's it's 4 girls and 1 guy, if I have it correct. But I also don't. Sun God Squad really didn't play last semester, so I don't know how much it's changed. So I sometimes feel bad for poor Colin, because my man like gets dragged all over the place to these like lettuce rituals and stuff like that too. But like, it is super wholesome. It is absolutely hilarious just to hear like the random shit that comes out of them. So yes, like, if for the people in the chat talking about Lettuce Club, my understanding is Sun God Squad is basically Lettuce Club every week. So like, I like, please, like, if any CC teams are like listening to this, please share more of the stupid shenanigans that you guys are up to, because I think that really gives your team more personality. It like makes your team stand out more. Obviously it helps if I know you personally, but like, even then, like, I don't know, I want to be able to be like, yeah, that's the team that, like, I don't know, like,
yeah, that's the spoon team. Yeah, that's
like,
the
that's
lettuce
spoon
team.
Like, that's the lettuce team. Like, that's the team that, like, throws bananas at each other or something.
Is
like,
Riptide?
I don't know.
Are we talking about Riptide? We'll get there eventually.
God.
Yeah.
But
But
that's good stuff when, like, because you guys have a thing where they can submit like stuff about them, right, in their forum. That's good stuff to put on the forum.
but I think we only ever ask for like competitive information.
You should add
Because
that
we
as a
already
section. Add that as a
Maybe.
Tell us some fun shit so we can talk that you're okay with being on the mic, basically.
I
So
think
that way it says like,
I
if it's
think
private,
what we
they don't put it
did-
on. But
maybe Vapor, you can correct me, but I want to say for season 5, I think we did a separate form for production to get stream info.
Yes. For
So
season
maybe
five,
that's probably the route that we go, because the registration form is already like 13 pages. Like
Mhm.
people give us crap all the time for having like the longest Google Forms known to man. But like it's just because we are crossing all of our T's and dotting all of our I's. Because if we can do it just once and make sure that everybody is in compliance and knows the rules, and it gives us all the information up front, we want to minimize as much as possible any risk to the TOs for messing something up on the seeding end, minimize risk to the teams for getting flack for their mistakes. Try to get as much communication flowing as possible at the start so we don't have to go hunt it down later. So I do apologize to folks that, get annoyed with our 13-page registrations, but like you don't know how much like that actually genuinely helps. And when you think about it and how many teams we run through, how few mistakes the CCA tends to make, like we tend to have like one big mistake a season.
Mhm.
And when you talk about working with 130 plus teams, like we are talking about like I want to say that the CCA is pretty spot on like 98% of the time.
Why stop at 14? 77 or bust.
but like you know what I mean, like yeah, like it, like we tend to only ever make one big seeding mistake a year, and I think that's something that we tend to be pretty proud of. So yeah, let's just get it right from the start, and we don't need to hunt down the information later, and we can only work with what we're given. So anyways, all that aside, it's maybe Vapor and I want to revisit the let's collect more information for that production form whenever we start streaming again.
Yeah.
Give us fun shit to talk about. No gun emoji, because that we're talking at a college campus like I did when I first entered the CCA server. I'm not thinking about that, but we won't talk now. Didn't do anything wrong. Give us your information. Not any personal information. Fun information.
Exactly. But just on that note as well, like there's even some mistakes that and just because I also saw it in the chat, but like there's even some like speeding mistakes that just genuinely aren't the fault of the CCA. And not to open up a different can of worms, I'll keep it very high level, but yeah, no, there's times where we make the form even more thorough, because that way it minimizes mistakes that can be made on the team's end that's failed to communicate to us something correctly, and then we end up missing it as a result. So it's all just a series of fail safes that we have learned to add with time and experience. Put it like that. And I think that is kind of what the CCA's model is. We just try to be as thorough as possible. And no one doesn't like us in this Splatoon community. But
in Daddy we trust.
Yeah, we trust.
Okay, so Mew, I want to go back to you now, since you've had some ample time to think about the question. Do you have a favorite CCA moment that you were a part of?
Do I have a favorite CCA moment that I was a part of?
Yes. I feel like there's an obvious answer that stands out, but like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
Do I have my favorite CCA moment that I was a part of was probably when I commented. I think it was Division 3 finals. I think it was Nightfall versus somebody else. But when we interviewed the winners, I started talking about vitamin water. And
Oh, no.
I forgot about that!
I remember I remember
Not the answer I was expecting, but that is still a very good answer.
it's like Family Feud when you say something. It's like, good answer, good answer.
Good answer, good answer.
Let's go.
Gosh.
That is actually genuinely a good answer. Yeah, I don't even remember what season that was at this point. That had to have been season 2.
Yeah, say it was
2 or
early.
3.
I was still playing.
Because if it was involving Nightfall, I believe Nightfall won Division 3 back in Season 2. I think that is accurate.
Sounds about right.
Because I don't think that was the year the WPI won. I don't know, maybe. Yeah, I could double check that real quick. Season 2, Div 3. No, it wasn't that. Maybe it was Season 3 then. Season 3, Div 2? No, Season 3, Div 3.
They were D1 in Season 2.
Season 3, Div 3. Okay, that's what it was. So Season 2 was the WPI run, and then Season 3 is Nightfall. Alright. Got it figured out.
Adam says spring 2023, which would be, Season 3.
Okay. Fair enough. See, okay, but my answer, I thought what Mewtwo was going to answer was the his run with guys. Look at all of these colleges. I think this is so cool. Whatever the team name was, from I believe it was Rush Weekend.
Rush Weekend 2.
Where with the infamous clips with Popgun and Brush, basically all talking about, how Brian's son was making dad proud. Brian's son being Mewtwo. If you have not seen that clip, I revisit it like every few months just to laugh for like 3 minutes. Because it was like peak commentary out of Brush and Popgun. And it was just, it's just funny. It is so funny.
Get the clip. We'll show it on stream if you can get it. We'll show it.
Sure, I could probably pull it up. Give me a second.
Well, it doesn't have to be right now. You can do it in the background. But we do have an important question from Nito, of all people. It's the most important question.
Of all people.
Oh, boy.
Well, it's 2 questions.
One,
when will CCA have its own transfer portal? And 2, can CCA players accept NIL deals?
If a CCA player could cut an NIL deal, I will get on the CCA Twitter and hype you up, because that would be really cool. I think that there's really only been one player that we could sort of say has ever landed an NIL deal, and that would be EJ. As he got a scholarship from UCSD for the CCA. For one, his involvement as the creative director, and 2, he was playing on Navy as well. So I believe the scholarships were $1,500. It was something like that. So that's still the only instance that I am aware of a player ever receiving a scholarship. So I don't know, shout out to EJ. I believe it's actually his birthday tomorrow too. So happy birthday, EJ. I know.
EJ.
Never... Happy early birth.
Exactly. Well, early birth. He was birthed like 20-something years ago.
Early birth. You're not supposed to stay in the womb for 20 years? What the hell? Don't tell that to baby Kraken, because I refute. My ass was not getting out of the womb.
Oh, same. No, I was a late one too.
I was literally induced. I said, "Still giving me a fuck no." I did.
Welcome to the club.
Kraken and I was sharing weirdly similar womb experiences.
I'll get my mom on the mic for one of these times to talk about.
I know, right?
Mother's Day episode. We're getting all the
Mother's Day TZS episode.
Wide out the camera. We both can sit in a chair. I'll talk about mom.
So what was it like birthing the members of TZS?
Oh my god! All right. Let's run back around here.
Let me put that in the topic thread. Hold on.
Oh boy. Let's roll this back around to the league and how the league started, how the league progressed.
Oh yeah, we certainly can. I mean, I don't know to what extent do you guys actually know of the starts of the league?
I played, and
I know you played.
I slap people. That's what I do.
Actually, I have a question for you, Kraken, because I always forget this. did PSU play in the first Booyah Bowl? I want to say no.
I want to say we didn't play in the Booyah Bowl. The first thing we did was the season 1.
Okay. Yeah, because that sounds right. Because I think you all kind of got your ish together right after Booyah Bowl.
Yeah,
I mean, I could easily double check, but okay. So I guess I could give you the quick TLDR of the history of that then. So 2021. So 2020 is when the CCA was founded. We'll just do that real quick. Fall, we had tournaments every month. We were averaging 8 teams a tournament. And then 2021 rolls around, and it was not a good year for the CCA. Splatoon 2 was on its kind of last legs. Things weren't looking particularly up. And we had some ambitious event ideas that we just did not have the audience for. And that is a trivia question in and of itself that we've actually thrown into our Jeopardy game. But for example, the Spot Olympics. It's a meme. It is a meme amongst the staff. We do not talk about the Splat Olympics as Kraken's feed cuts to us actually watching him screen cap the chat.
The moment
Thank you, Adam.
you bring up Splat Olympics, Adam.
Everybody on staff is instantly triggered. But we actually here. So, let me see if I can pull this up real quick.
Had to get that screenshot.
In case anyone is ever curious, we actually just have a giant Tupperware that has all of the stickers that we sell.
Wait, did you still look at it?
No, I forgot to give it back to Kaiju. This is Kaiju's Tupperware. I have been holding it hostage for about 3 years now. And I owed them this Tupperware back at some point. Whenever I see them again.
Went out of business, it's a lot more valuable.
Here we go. So the CCA Spot Olympics even got its own sticker produced. And we just never did anything with it because it was a very ambitious idea that we had, but no audience. There was, we were trying to use it as a marketing tool to get more teams into the CCA, because up to this point, we've had probably about 5 or 6 colleges that were playing, occasionally. And so we're like, hey, maybe this could be this could serve as a marketing tool, whatever, get more folks excited, allow folks that only are that have 1 or 2 players from their college, but not a full team, to be able to play in something. And we quickly realized that, oh gosh, this is a very ambitious idea. This is not going to work. So throughout the fall of 2021, I think we ran 1 event. I think it was just 1 event. And it basically reached a point where I kind of said, I know these teams exist. I know that players exist. We had done a lot of research and basically had names that we knew of that at different colleges, and, just needed to start putting people together. And for example, I know Nito's in chat. If I recall correctly, and Nito can correct me on this, Secant and Nito were both attending UT Dallas, but neither of them knew that each other was attending UT Dallas until we stepped in and said, hey, Secant, hey, Nito, you guys are both competitive players. Form something, please.
Gun emoji. We don't care if this is college anymore. Gun emoji.
Yes. So UT Dallas ended up forming a team from that. And that's what we just started to have to do, was just plug people together and just started forming teams. And then I led the charge on the first Booyah Bowl. And because I remember that even around staff, like folks were like, I don't know if the audience is like quite there, maybe, we're way in over our heads, game is dead, whatever.
Hey, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But also, me being stubborn as I am, I dig my heels in sometimes if there's something that I feel particularly interested in, and force my way into making it happen. And I led the charge on getting 9 teams together, and 9 teams resulted in Booyah Bowl. And then we said, wow, 9 teams, that's enough for a league, right? And I think at that point we also knew PSU was, coming into the fold. So we said 10 teams. Awesome. That is more than enough for a league. And we got exactly 10 teams, and season 1 was formed. Which, funny enough, only 9 teams actually initially signed up for season 1, representing 7 colleges. The 10th team was actually added after the registration deadline because it was a college that showed up once. I believe they showed up for season 1 and never showed up again. So, shout out to the Rough Riders. I don't even remember what school they are from. I would have to really search for that. But I don't believe they ever came back after that season. But they gave us a perfectly round 10 teams, and low key kind of just made our lives a lot easier. So similar to like Nazareth College, which I know is a name that very few people know nowadays. They were a very essential part of the early foundations of the CCA. So, so there's your history lesson, guys. More than I think you actually signed up for by asking that question, Vapor. But
now that's part of the fun here. I think going into a little bit of the history. Before we get into the more modern, things like the Riptide, your recent leagues, especially your recent playoffs, which I think is going to be a really cool thing that we're going to talk about for half an hour. So basically, we have like half an hour to talk about everything else. So like, knowing that, you see the basis of where CCA is starting from, and then you can move forward. Something like when we talk about things like IPL or other organizations as well, when you're talking about the early history and then to what it is now, it just shows, hey, you know what, for those that run other things and other events, when you start your little baby event, you might turn into something massive. Literally, you're talking, how many teams did you have in the last season? 120-ish?
150 in the circuit.
50-ish. That was the last circuit was 120-ish, I think is what I'm thinking of.
Season 5 was 134.
Okay, you know what? I'm trying. You still see the growth, right? You go from literally the first Booyah Bowl having 9 teams, first season having 10 teams, to literally 13 times as many teams as 15 times as many teams as you had in the initial, over the span of 2.5 years, right? Because it's, each season's season 5. So
yeah, season 5 of the league.
Every season is half a year, basically. So 2.5 years, you went from 10 teams to 150 teams in the circuit is insane.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe there's another time, perhaps the CCA podcast. And I know that we've thrown around the idea too of like, really delving more into the CCA history, because I do think it's very interesting. How we started with just a dream and an idea of these 2 colleges coming together to, try to find more collegiate competition, and then like, getting some excitement, and then things really about to die off into bursting into this 150 team community, with over 800 active players. So that's something that we definitely want to delve into more at some point, even within the CCA, just to talk about it. But yeah, like it's crazy. We went from canceling the Splat Olympics to 150 teams and working with the Eastern Collegiate Athletic Conference. Like, that's wild to me.
Yeah. I have the Battle 5 pulled up, and the first entrance exam in February of 2023 had 62 teams.
Yeah. So that was, I think, entrance exam. I think that was after season 2. Yeah. So that was right before season 3. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, because we went from 10 10 teams or 9 teams agreeable, 10 teams season 1, 60 teams in season 2, 62 or 63, whatever you said for entrance exam, 80 in season 3 to 100. I think it was 84. I won't say it was 84 in season 3 to 130 to 134. Right? Yeah, that sounds right.
Something along those
now to
lines.
150. So, yeah, no, it's been a constant upward trajectory. But I guess with that said, I do want to talk a bit about the most recent format because I do think that this will be the hottest topic.
Do you want to talk about like lands and such first? I think that would be, and then use that as our final topic is more the recent, and then we can whenever we're done with that, we'll close out. So any non-thoughts or any topic, anything we want to talk about with CCA before we get into the newest season, let's do that now. I think lands is a good spot because you know the history of the lands from locals to Riptide. So like I think talking about that and anything else that anyone else may have, I think is a good place first, and then talk about our recent season, the most recent season, as a good place to end because that's the most recent.
Okay, I like the idea. Let's flow through that. You know. Because I could go off on anything regarding CCA if you just prompt me to.
Do this now.
We could talk about lands.
What was the first like CCA official? Because I know you guys had like the road. I don't know the full name, but like the road trip. Yeah. And then of course you've had Riptide. I think you've had something else. So some other one-offs here and there that have had some CCA involvement or at least promotion.
So from my recollection, the first time that 2 college teams met at a LAN was ITAP, HAL, and MSU did a 3-team like invitational at Purdue University in 2021, I want to say. Yeah, it's either 2021 or 2022. It might have been 2022, I think spring. But that would be a better question for Mizuno and Omazen. So that was the first time that collegiate teams met in person. And obviously since then, there's been a number of other things that have come up and a lot of opportunities, you know, as more teams like form, you're going to start finding teams closer and closer to you. Unless you're the University of Alberta, I wish you luck. I don't think there's another school in Edmonton or in that general area that's going to get to you. So I do apologize to the University of Alberta,
especially in the winter.
Yeah, I think you guys are stuck.
Maybe you get lucky in the beginning of the calendar year. In fall, you might get lucky before the weather sets in. But before that, you definitely get in there.
I mean, I've always wanted to see the Northern Lights. Maybe a trip to the University of Alberta can be warranted.
Plan it up when we got a geomagnetic storm. There you go. Really have a good chance.
But yeah, so as more teams form, you start to find teams that get closer and closer to you, and then you start to get more incentivized. Like, hey, you know, maybe we can form like a small LAN. And I want to say for the record that most of the collegiate LANs that have happened have been no involvement by the CCA. These are just those regional clubs and programs that have reached out and operated independently. A couple of them have reached out to us and said, hey, can we just get some advertising support, marketing support, or stream support, something? And that's totally cool by us. Like, if we want to enable folks like to have these opportunities to grow and whatever, and to do cool things. Because Vapor, you might know a couple as well, but I know that who was it? George Mason? No, UNCG hosted one.
UNCG Gatorland had a big
Gatorland is Florida
presence. They had a big Florida presence. I think it was held at one of the Florida universities.
It was at University of Florida because it's the Gators. I'm trying to remember who else is hosted.
I'm pretty sure there was one in the Plains area.
Yeah, Nita
In
was
the
just
plains.
talking
I know
about
Purdue's
that was the
hosted one every
Midwest.
year.
Yeah, I'm talking more Southern Plains.
Hey,
But I know Purdue's hosted one every year. There might have been one in the New England area, but I don't actually know for sure because there are a lot of New York schools. But if one happened, I don't actually know for certain. And then University of Houston just hosted, or not University of Houston. It was Dio with H-Town Splashdown.
H-Town. Yep.
They hosted a side event for the collegiate teams. And then you start to get to some of the bigger events. I mean, the Purdue one also grew pretty big. I think they had 7 teams in their last one. Road Trip had 10 teams last year. And then obviously Riptide, we've done it for 2 years now. We had 5 teams in 2023. And then we had 14 teams in 2024, which is crazy because, I mean, yeah, now that's the largest collegiate Splatoon land to ever exist. And, you know,
and you get
not
cool
without
trophies.
its faults, but
You get some pretty cool trophies.
yes.
Yeah. Hold on.
Yes, the...
Oh,
yeah, wait, no.
oh,
Yeah, because I believe
yeah.
Kraken has an extra.
I have a spare. I don't know if how well it's gonna come up on camera, but they look like this. They look like that. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can see the reflection. Hey, look, there's Vapor again. Or there's me. Look, there's Vapor. There's David. There's Mewtwo. But yeah, that's what they look like. I know it's hard to see with the glare. Yeah. That's kind of the general gist. They're pretty cool. I think they're really, really cool. Shout out to Aaron, by the way, because we love Riptide. So yeah, compete at Riptide. Technically, the next year's already announced. So you know, Riptide is coming back next year. You know, to be announced whether or not we'll have collegiate. Wink.
Wink, wink.
Wing.
We love working. To be clear with because we're kind of talking about Riptide. I love working with these guys at CCA. Love working with the staff of CCA.
What are we talking about?
So like genuinely
Riptide.
really, really, really cool that we were able to have a collegiate event. I'm really thankful for Aaron to really have that. You know, they had Smash and such too, which is all setting records. And then you have Splatoon setting records. Like collegiate is on the rise, which is awesome. And like CCA is the Splatoon part of it, and we're really happy to have you at Riptide.
Oh yeah, no, and you guys make our lives easy because like all we do is show up. Like we need like maybe 3 or 4 hours worth of meetings leading up to Riptide. Like yes, there is a decent amount of work that goes into planning Riptide on the CCA end, but at the end of the day, it's probably one of the easiest events that we run because, I mean, Kraken, like you, Raze, and Aaron do all the work for us. We just put together the registration form and check in on the teams and be like, hey, do you need like a receipt or an invoice so that your university could help you pay for this if, applicable? And like, for the record, like 2 or 3 teams take advantage of that each year, if that. Which that's a separate goal, is to get that percentage a little higher. Obviously, there's only so much we can do, but
make that
percentage higher you're making
we're
easy.
adding more teams. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So university support is something that just in general is something I would like to see more of, and it's a goal of mine. But I know that there's only so much the CCA can do. But yeah. It's really cool to be able to say that we've, or at least that me personally, I've been part of the 2 biggest collegiate Splatoon lands at this point. And I hope that folks will go out there and try to top that. I do think Riptide every year will like reestablish that number for the next couple of years. Yeah, because like there's trophies. Like it's so cool.
I just wanted to put the Riptide logo. Gotta shill them. It's the weekend after Labor Day. I think it's the 5th this year. 5th through the 7th.
Labor Day's on the 1st. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's 5th through the 7th is September. Come to Ohio. Come to my house. No, don't come to my house, please.
I have, my bad.
Vapor has been to my house.
Yeah.
Come. This episode is brought to you by Riptide. Yeah, I mean,
there you go. Aaron may not have agreed to it, but Riptide is the official sponsor.
Hey, I get technically paid, so I don't. Why is it technically
That's
paid?
true.
So
Technically.
I'm gonna say
that makes it
technically.
sound weird.
Like what, a Mountain Dew?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, get paid to do it. So you know what? Hey, they're sponsoring me since I'm doing all the production too. For this, kind of sponsored to use TCA for 0% off.
Hey, we should ask Aaron if we could do that. Like
Just a 1% off or something. Just something stupid.
1 cent.
0.77. Yeah, 0.77
off.
0.77% off.
You get like
Use
$1. You get like $1 off.
Wait, I think we're cooking, guys. Wait, just think of the advertising possibilities here.
Oh my gosh.
We know that probably three of us are at least the 3 out of 4 of us are probably going to be at Riptide. Me, Vapor, David, maybe Mutant Mew. You got to come to Riptide, buddy.
I know Pepe will most likely be there because Pepe goes to every land. I think Pepe's going to Seattle this weekend for their land.
Yeah,
which I honestly did not realize until pretty recently, and I was like, oh, did not know that you were going to Seattle. Good luck.
What?
You're awake, you two? Did you fall asleep? Is that why you want to have your camera off today, so you could fall asleep when you weren't talking about commentary anymore?
Oh, I don't know what's going on, man. Like I thought we were moving on.
You gave a 10-minute monologue at the beginning, like a late night talk show host, and then just proceeded to give nothing the rest of the time, like a late night talk show.
I'm real.
On that note, let's pull this back. That
What are we
amazing
talking about?
conversation.
All right.
Conversation about lands, the future of
Actually,
CCA looking at lands too.
Yeah, because I want to add on top of that, that in terms of lands, I do think, fingers crossed, that this will be the biggest year for collegiate lands yet. For a number of different reasons, I think that not to spoil anything, and also I just don't know, what's necessarily going on. But the little that I am a part of, I do think it will be pretty cool. So I think I can safely say that I am actively in meetings for Road Trip 2025. So there is plans to make Road Trip 2025 happen. And thank you, Mewtwo. I'm excited for it too.
I'm so excited for
He wants to be picked up on the road trip. Pick him. He'll commentate for you, right, Mewtwo?
Yeah, I'll commentate while I drive.
He'll be your dedicated commentator.
If you want to come down to SoCal whenever Road Trip 2025 gets locked in, you are welcome to do so. We could use the extra hand. So come on through, buddy. I can.
Don't talk about extra hand, David. You're inviting things.
I'll give you an extra hand, David. Don't worry.
Oh boy.
I'll show with my extra hand.
I could use an extra set of vocal cords. How about that?
And I think you could also use a guy with an unwrinkled shirt.
If you want to bring your ironed shirt to Road Trip 2025, if and when that happens, you are welcome to do so.
Okay, nice, cool. Let's go.
My goal is for Frosty to be there too. So you all could
You better bring the iron.
I don't know. Yeah. Mew's gonna fly with like an iron. Imagine trying to explain that to TSA.
What? Why are we getting a metal hit on that? It's my iron. Why do you have iron?
I can't have these wrinkles.
Shirt once.
Gotta make sure it's not wrinkled this time around.
Was Frosty staying at a hotel? Or were they local? Or
No.
I don't know where they are.
No,
So
Frosty's local.
wait, does he not have an iron at his house?
I think because he came. I think he came from work to I think he had to stop at his house for 5 minutes to pick up the shirt, and then left to the studio.
A wrinkled shirt. It's fresh from the house.
I mean, hey, I don't just keep my shirts all ironed. I think bro just literally picked up the shirt and left. My shirts are not readily ironed.
I mean, I don't either, but if it's wrinkly enough that we're commenting about it, clearly it was not. It was awful. You know what I mean? Hey, you look at the little wrinkles here just because there's a difference between wrinkles because you're using it for the day and hey, I went and picked this up from my house and it was wrinkly.
Oh my god!
Did you not look at the shirt when you were setting yourself up for this, or what?
Poor Frosty's literally never gonna live it down. My man showed up and was like, "This shirt will do," and people just never let it go. But all that to say is that I do think this will be the biggest year for collegiate lands yet, and I mean just collegiate Splatoon in general. Especially partnering with ECAC, I think that's going to open up a couple of fun opportunities. And again, I've been part of several conversations about ideas being spun. So hopefully those formulate into something. Again, I can't speak to really any detail because there is no detail, but I think I can comfortably share that I've been part of conversations that have me optimistic. Are you okay, Vapor?
I have no idea anymore, man.
In Pennsylvania?
Who even knows?
Look, it's still freaking out. You blacked it out. It's
I
still
know.
freaking out.
That's crazy. That's absolutely wild.
Let me check. I'll look at it. Oh, Vapor killed it.
Yeah, I'm relogging.
Okay, I might have to change the link, so I'll do that in a second.
I know, yeah, man.
I thought you were having an earthquake for a second.
I know.
You're in California right now.
Well,
crazy out here.
To kind of lead off on the land idea, Vapor, what is the Pennsylvania land?
Hey, we're back.
One day.
All I know is that stuff is in the works.
Oh, I was saying that jokingly. Okay, that's cool. I will take that.
To be fair,
I was gonna say because you have who is it? Juniata?
Yeah, we have Juniata very much nearby.
Okay, so at the very least, you and Juniata need to do something in 2025.
And you have what's the team that's closer to Harrisburg? What school is that? Starts with a K, but I can't remember his name.
Kutztown?
Yes.
Kutztown?
Yes.
Kutztown, Harrisburg?
That's closer to Philly.
I know, but still, that's not too far from you guys. Either.
Yeah. No,
I mean, there's a few schools in Philly, isn't there?
It's still a couple hours, but
there's 3 or 4 universities in the greater Philly, New York area.
Okay. Well, that region needs to get something done in 2025. I am manifesting it. I have not heard of anything. So hopefully that is something that comes together. But yeah, there's enough teams in the Philly. It's the tri-state area, right? Like Philly, New York, and what's the other city that we just consider all of New Jersey as part of it.
Well, to be fair, some CCA teams would go to when there was the Land Magic hosted. Some teams Drexel would go to because they were
true.
there. So I know for a while that there was some try to maybe at least this was a few years ago now, because obviously Magic hasn't run that in a while. And so I don't mind. I guess technically I'm leaking things, but it doesn't really matter because it's dead in the water. But like there was try to get some like collegiate groups from there for a while in that area to all to go to Philly and do like a collegiate thing there, but it never came together. So, but it doesn't mean that probably could still come back alive. It just may not be at that venue. You know, there's plenty of different options there because you have all of those cities along the East Coast, all the way up and down. Obviously, it would make more sense to be right around the Pennsylvania, New York area because that's the tightest area of population. But
tight.
Yes.
You want to talk about tight areas?
It could make sense though. That could be. Someone should try to get something there. With love.
Oh yeah.
I'm making it your job.
Has the haircut of a me from the Me Plus. So whenever I click create a me and I choose the.
All right, let's get back on topic here. But that was a like beautiful transition into the circuit actually, and whatever just happened this past fall season because oh my god, it was hectic.
Yeah, it was fun. I know that Kraken, I think you kind of just saw the circuit from a distance and were just like, whatever's happened over there is kind of cool. But I know you weren't like super involved, but we had you on to commentate the finals. Mewtwo commentated 2 or 3 qualifiers. I don't even know. Mew, how many qualifiers did you commentate?
What? How many qualifiers did I commentate? Like a few.
We'll take a few. A few is a good answer. Good answer.
You know, I did my thing, and then you know, I keep doing my thing, and like
today.
Oh my god!
To do my job for the CCA because I believe the CCA is one of the best organizations that I've ever been a part of, and I believe that they have a very bright future ahead of them. However, I think
he's going into this monologue again.
They're a shining light in a dying community, and I hope that the CCA is able to revitalize the life force within the Splatoon community because it shows that with the right people and with the right resources, you could. The sky is essentially the limit.
Oh, this guy.
Thank you, Mew. Thank you. So with that said, I guess I don't know. Where do we even start with the circuit? Because I think the circuit was by far our most ambitious project yet. And I don't know, like, I don't know if they're, like, even between Kraken and Mew, if you have questions about what on earth, you know, the circuit is or how things came together or anything like that. Because Vapor and I were part of a lot of conversations leading up to that.
Why don't you kind of go over that, unless Moo has a question in particular? I think the best... Do you have a question, Moo, before I take that opportunity away from you?
Oh, Cat isn't playing? Oh, that's why the score's so close.
Okay, so like
he's busy watching the next.
Why don't you go into that sort of stuff, the background for other people that are not a part, you know, because I was in a lot of the or you know, I shouldn't say in the conversation because I wasn't, but like let's be real, we talked about a lot of this stuff as it happened when you guys were like plotting it out because you know you guys have done a lot of research into other esports alongside of that are not, you know, obviously not Splatoon, and so that was some of those ideas were coming from that.
I have a question about the CCA. What inspired you guys to move from the league format to the circuit format?
Great question, Mew. No one else could have asked that any better.
Thank you.
The circuit came together because for a few reasons. One, the staff was tired. We had just done 5 consecutive semesters of the league. And the league is by far the most draining thing that we run. That is from an operations perspective, from a production perspective, from a planning and post-season perspective. Like, once the season's done, our job is not done. We still have to do all divs and, finish out the stats, and then we're immediately into planning new events.
And we're not even talking about the potential prizing to send out to the winners as well.
Yes. Like, we want to, just go and lay on the bed for, another 10 weeks after the league is done, but we can't. We just straight up cannot. It is the most exhausting thing possible. I believe I can more comfortably speak, for a lot of CCA staff here. Just, it's tiring. It is just one of the most exhausting things. Like, if folks ever wonder why Ludi runs, maybe once a year, I know at this point they've probably done three seasons in 2 years, which is maybe a good rate of doing it. It's because you literally just, for lack of a better term, you cherish the thought of death by the end of the league. There's just so much relief that goes through you when you are finally done, and then you realize that there's still more work to do.
To give people an idea on an operations perspective, you basically need to be ready almost 24/7 around the clock, because you don't know when matches are going to be played. Yeah. Along the same with production, especially with CCA, because we try to capture as much as possible, even with our select time slots that we have. If we have someone available for another time slot, we try to catch that anyway.
Yes.
So when you think about that, we are always looking at, okay, who do we have for commentary right after a match outside of our time slot is posted.
Yeah, no, exactly. It is exhausting.
If you even want to get into what we did in season 5, where we had the weekly power rankings and weekly standings posts onto our social medias, I wasn't alone with the power rankings, but I was pretty much alone with the standings, and I put a good 4 hours out of my day every single Monday afternoon just to get the standings out, and that is just tiring.
Yeah. No, I think Vapor summarizes it well. You're just on 24/7. And it, I don't think people understand, just how mentally taxing that is. Our staff are absolute troopers for that. And, and I think that translates to, Ludi staff. They do this, but with 800 teams. Obviously, we're doing it with maybe a little more frequency. So it's, not to say that one organization's experience and burnout is greater than another in this regard. But it's being on 24/7. You are always having to be ready to tackle a fire. That these two teams are have a conflict. It's the most mentally draining thing, and we needed a change of pace, and we also wanted to try to experiment with things, because Ludi, as great of a product as it is to bring the community together, I think a lot of folks in the community also generally agree that the Ludi format being the standard is also unhealthy for the scene. And not every league needs to be a Ludi. Ludi does a lot right, but it also does a lot that is very different from other esports that we wanted to work on changing as well. Because
no prize money.
For one, yes. The Splatoon community doesn't really give prize money. And that's something that the CCA is taken personally. We want to make sure that prizing is a more active part of our community. But we also wanted to try to experiment with more formats that align with other esports. We constantly have folks that are analyzing other collegiate esports spaces. I work in Scholastic Esports. Part of my job is to constantly follow what is going on in things like Collegiate Rocket League and Collegiate Apex. What's going on in some of the Smash scenes. So I try to take a lot of my real life work knowledge and apply it to the CCA. And a lot of folks, do have that intersectionality of, hey, they do stuff, within the CCA, but they're also maybe involved in another game, or they're involved in a different just sector of life that they bring into the CCA, which I think is what also makes the CCA so special. But yeah, a lot of, we just needed to change the format, and we needed something to break it up and to challenge the status quo of what the Splatoon community is so comfortable with.
Thank you for answering my question. And now for my follow-up question about the CCA circuit. Do you think that this will catch on to other organizations, or is the whole circuit format probably might just be a CCA only thing? Do you think?
It already isn't just CCA only.
Yeah. I'm gonna sniff you.
See, we played in a circuit within the last 6 months.
We did?
Yeah.
Which one?
SAC. C stands for circuit.
See?
All right. Pretend I didn't ask that question.
Mind you, it's a different how you handle it.
Yeah, there's things that I think that the CCA circuit did well, and there's things that I think SAC did well. And I think that there can be a good exchange of ideas between those two circuits. Because we put in a crap ton of hours. Like, if I had to guess, we put in over 1,000 staff hours to get the circuit up and running. Like, the whole idea of the circuit was that it was supposed to be less work on the staff in the long run. And there was a lot of benefits to the players too. Being able to jump into the season whenever. Like, you didn't have to get your rosters locked in by the middle of September, when some schools haven't even started. That was a problem for a solid quarter of our schools. There's more flexibility in terms of when you can play and when you can't play. I should say there's flexibility when you can jump in and out of competition is what I should say, because the schedule was fixed. I know that the schedule is more rigid, but that's also more in line with collegiate esports. We are the only collegiate esport that I am aware of. I think I think Mario Kart has a standardized time. Maybe Pokemon. But we are the only collegiate esport that allows for full flexibility to schedule your match whenever and to reschedule to another week. Like, the only collegiate esport. That is not the standard, and people don't realize that. And we do it because that's the standard that Ludi set, whether we like it or not, and people are comfortable with that. And yes, there's so many pros to that, but there's also so many cons to where it's now at the detriment to our organization and the operations. Like, it can be a pain. So now the problem becomes, where do we find that middle ground? And that's where this idea of the circuit started to stem from, is how can we start to alleviate some of that pressure off of our staff and challenge that status quo? And then, we started to get to the idea of, hey, how can we have dynamic divisions? Because if we mess up on a division, for whether it's our own fault or another team's fault or whoever, how do we provide ourselves a way to make those adjustments? And we said, okay, well, we need to have these regular check-in points, and then folks should be able to move up and down divisions. So that means we need to go with a circuit idea. And then from there, we started to build on top of it. Like, okay, now how do we, address roster changes? Because roster changes is another, tough topic. Very simple way of doing it in the league. You either just add folks, or you remove them, or if you have a slash tag change, you notify us of it. How do we avoid folks just moving people from one roster to another? Folks might not have 4 players available this Saturday because now it's a more rigid time. So we had to come up with a whole substitution system on top of it. So it was just slowly we started with this base idea and we just started figuring out where are the possible problems and what are the immediate solutions to it. And it stemmed into this big old monster that became the circuit.
All right, thank you for answering my question. I am now ready to ask another follow-up question. So
you go for it.
Judging, I'd say the league was pretty successful. Moving forward, obviously, with some adjustments here and there, do you think that CCA will continue to use the circuit format moving forward, or was this just kind of like we wanted to try this out, but we didn't really end up liking it type of deal?
Great question.
Thank you.
Yes, that
This
actually is a
is
pretty good
one that I will probably be a little bit more dodgy on. I apologize because I don't know the answer to it yet. I genuinely don't. I think internally so here's how I'd like to put it. Is that the CCA circuit was a 20 out of 10 spectator experience. It was a 9 out of 10 staff experience. And then maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10 player experience. From my own personal view. And based on, some of the feedback that we started to kind of comb through. So I think that we have a very good product on our hands with the circuit that needs several adjustments. And we've already had conversations about how we can improve upon it. I do think that a future iteration is likely, whether that is next fall or, we give it a little bit more time. I don't know. But I do think that a future circuit will happen because there's already adjustments we know we can make to get that 9 out of 10 staff experience to a 10 out of 10 and that 6 or 7 player experience up to at least a 9. While still maintaining that 20 out of 10 spectator experience, because I think that we killed it on all fronts, and I'll let Vapor speak on this a little bit more, but the production value of the circuit was top notch, in my opinion.
Yeah, the production was amazing, and mid-season working on the new overlays that we started to roll out midway through the circuit as well, especially for finals. Shout out to Omazen for working on this. I don't want to say remaster, but on this updated graphic version that CCA currently has. But working with some of our top commentators in the league, grabbing some new faces as well for the collegiate experience as a whole, to try to give the viewers the best quality commentary experience, to try to capture that retention and keep people into the CCA circles as much as possible.
Me and Hohen did a fun A.
If you all haven't seen the push set that Kraken and Hohen commentated during the CCA League or circuit finals, go watch it, because it was we were watching Div 1, 2, and 3 streams because we had a multi-Twitch for it. Div 4 was on YouTube, but we had the audio running from the YouTube stream, and
so honored. I'm so honored.
We were laughing our butts off in the VC, just listening to Kraken and Hohen's commentary.
Oh, me and Hohen just shitpost. That's all we did. I would be real. It is not normal commentary. It is two people shitposting on the mic while a game happens in the background. It is very much like a couch commentary kind of style. We did. I mean, we get serious here and there, but most of the time, I'm not gonna lie, we were just shitposting because that's just me and Hohen.
Yes.
I
hope the Div 4 teams genuinely appreciated that. So I never actually heard any feedback on that front, or at least from Div 4 teams, I don't think. But at least I thought it was great.
I haven't heard any feedback about any commentators outside of Division 1. So.
Gotcha.
We said, let's just say in that push set, we say the word push a lot of times. That's all I remember from that set was just saying the word push like 77 times, genuinely. Each, by the way. 70.
No, it was great. No, I think the one thing I want to, unless, Kraken, unless you had any other specific questions, I was going to pivot towards the circuit finals itself.
That's what I was just going to bring up, actually. That would have been one of my next comment, would have been related to the circuit finals, and that's format. First, talk about the format.
That format.
Yes, let's talk the format.
We talked about it.
Kraken, do you have the graphic?
I can get it. If you can get it to me probably quicker, I can pull it up. But I have it. I know I do. I just don't know where.
One of Vapor and I have it for sure. Well, we both have it, but see, we
both have it somewhere.
Somebody put it in the podcast channel. I'll get it up. I'll put a graphic. We'll change screens with the graphic.
I think I might have the old graphic, the one with the wrong bracket lines, but.
Hold on. I think I might have it. Yeah, I have it.
The video earlier, David, too. But yeah, we'll get it. Go ahead and start talking about it, and while Vapor gets it to me, you can kind of talk about like maybe coming up with it in your research. I think that would be a good time.
Sure. Well, I mean, honestly, Vapor could probably speak to this too, because this has been a format that I know Vapor and I are a massive fan of, and we've been throwing it like your way, Kraken, for a while too. Like I think you might have been tired of hearing me and Vapor talk about how much we love the format. So I think it's genuinely just a really freaking fun format, and multiple professional world championship esports and other titles run this format. And the key thing about this modified Swiss is that it only requires the essential Swiss matches, and the stakes outright. You either win 3 matches or you lose 3 matches. You cannot get more clear than that.
Hold on. Time. There you go. There it is.
There we go.
There you go. There's your here's your full graphic.
Yeah.
Here of the format as you kind of talk about it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll let Vapor kind of mention a couple of the different esports.
I can put my mouse on it too. I can point out things, guys. Don't worry.
There you go. Like we pull this from so many different organizations, or I guess world championships.
So this is he was talking about the you win or lose 3. You can see here 0-3. When they hit 3, that's when they are eliminated or qualified. So for reference for the viewers at home.
Yeah, and that's another reason why each of finals division was also only 16 teams. It works out perfectly for something like this, and it splits you in half either way. Up to 3 as your as a confirmed you're in or you're out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the one drawback to any Swiss is that your matches are semi-randomized, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's no way around it. But at the same time, if you were playing, let's just say we did a 16-team double elim, that still doesn't change too much. You're still not really going to necessarily play everybody. You just need to beat the subset of teams that you ultimately run into. So I don't think that there's that big of a difference between these two formats. And this modified Swiss is also just in line with a lot of professional esports. League of Legends ran it for their worlds the past 2 years, I believe, or 3 years. I think Rocket League's done it this way for the past 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. So those are 2 of the biggest world championship esports that run it this way. I think the CSGO run it this way too.
I think so. I'm not quite sure.
I want to say CSGO does.
To just throw this out there for those that are not big into looking to formats, this one though is they can't run this during the regular season because it doesn't do well with only does well with very specific numbers. Your 16s, your 32s, your 64s, your 8s. So for reference, as much as we are gonna gas this format because I like it too, it has a lot of cons, especially if you don't have very specific numbers. But when you have the situation like this with the finals, where you know how many teams you're going to have, this format is one that's really, really good. But you can only implement it if you have very specific amount of teams, or it can break down, especially if you have any odd number of teams. It has to be for sure an even number, but especially better to be one of those power of 8 kind of, no, well, I shouldn't say power 8, but like those multiples of 8s that you kind of see in a lot of like double limbs where they're perfect brackets. When you start having buys and things, it breaks down really quickly. But when it's in the right thing, this format is fantastic.
Yes. Yeah, because the stakes are just known from the very beginning. Like, you know what each match very specifically means for your progression. And again, yeah, like you said, like, it only works with those specific number of teams. So that's why we figured this was the perfect opportunity to introduce it, because we could take this circuit format that was very dynamic and curate the pool of teams that we had to this format. So this was something that, as soon as we realized the circuit was a thing and we needed to develop a finals format, Vapor and I were the first people to raise our hand and say, we have an idea. Because we didn't even like necessarily communicate this up front. We just both, I think, started like, we just mutually knew, because we talked about this format before and how fun it can be, especially from a spectator perspective. So yes, I think I understand. Like, so I understand that for some players, sometimes you're gonna feel like you got screwed. That's just Swiss in general. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's the Swiss in general. There's always going to be that little bit of luck factor in terms of who you play. But at the end of the day, whoever you're playing against, you just need to win 3 times. So for I don't want to name names, but for teams that feel like that they got a harder schedule, you are gonna have to beat at least one of those 3 teams at some point. So if you couldn't beat any of them, then yeah, like, I'm sorry, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But you've got to beat, some of the best along the way. So it's, I don't know, it's, I understand it, but also, like, win your matches.
I brought this up this way. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But I brought this up this way so you guys can kind of see, hey, in the early rounds, you can see how these teams are kind of going up. So this is how they implemented it on Battlefy, is how you guys did it, right? You guys...
Credit to Vapor on this, by the way.
You ran it through. So basically the first 3 rounds are normal, like any other Swiss that anybody else would go. But you can
see... 2 rounds.
Sorry, yeah, first...
Modified. What we did was round 1 and round 2 were both best of 3s. So, but you cannot change the format on Battlefy itself. So we had to manually go in and change it to each team being 1-1 to start at the set. So if you see something that says a 3-1 in round 1 or round 2, that is a 2-0 instead of a 3-1.
Yes.
So like this one right here on the top, use a 3. It would be a 2-0 in favor of Splatlanders. Over the GMU Patriots. Okay.
The reason for that happening is more to try to speed up the elimination process. One of the biggest complaints that people have, especially newer people to any sort of competitive scene, is the length of these events. So with people already complaining about the length of something like low ink or even swimmer sink, if you go the whole distance, it can be dreadful on the mental mindset trying to stay locked in the entire time. So you get done with those first 2 rounds really quickly in best of 3s before you get into a best of 5 for rounds 3, 4, and 5, where basically your competition is on the line at that point.
Yeah,
yes.
you're in this section right here for reference of it, where everyone's either 2-0, 1-1, or 0-2 at that point. So you're either about to qualify and be out, which I have the round 3 up there. As you'll see, some names are crossed out. Those are the people that got dropped in that round, aka they went 3-0 or they're 0-3, as you can kind of see in the bottom here. PSU and USD or UCSD, they're crossed out here and here because they got 3-0'd. But they were sitting at 2-0, facing another 2-0 team. You can see Arcaley here is 2-1 after round 3. So they had lost to PSU. So they were 2-0. So in theory, that was a really close set. As much as that one ended up being a a 3-1. It's still, you're still taking games off each other. And the UCSD is a really good one. VCU went to game 5. So to kind of your point, you might see more of these games where instead of all these like 3-1s, which were effectively 2-0s, as you guys were pointing out, we're going to start seeing more of like this. We're going to game 5 because remember, these are now best of 5s instead of BO3s for everyone at home. Yep. So you start seeing, that's why there's actually 0s here, because these are actual best of 5s, unlike previously.
Yep. So we really wanted folks to feel like they earned their qualifying or that they were rightfully eliminated, because to be eliminated on a best of 3 always kind of sucks. Obviously we have to do that in losers brackets and double elimination tournaments to just move the dang tournament along, because loser bracket is always what holds up a tournament. So we wanted it to be that in this type of event, you felt like you really had an opportunity to prove yourself. And having that slightly longer set into best of 5s to qualify and eliminate provides that ample opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And so like this, here's your round 4. You can see that literally half the field gets eliminated in that round, right? Gets qualified or eliminated. And you see all of these are down here with the 3s, either in the loss column or the win column. So so you had to manually go through and eliminate everybody, right? As soon as they're getting to this Vapor, which is a lot of extra work. And for people that aren't, I'm guessing for the players, that was a little bit weird. Did you guys have any feedback on that? Or I'm kind of curious what people were...
No, I think it was fine, actually. Like, in terms of like the Battlefy usage of it, it was actually fine, because yes, it's more work on the staff side, but it's like more work by like 2 or 3 clicks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I just didn't know if that caused any confusion. I was kind of curious how the CCA players had responded.
During round 1, there was some confusion across the players, but after round 2, everything was smooth sailing from there. Made sure that in the announcements, everything was listed straightforward. After round 3, if you got 3 wins already, you're done for the day. Congratulations on making day 2. If you lost 3, unfortunate. Thank you for playing throughout the circuit.
Yep. So, and then it really gets fun, because then you reach round 5, where every match that's being streamed, we're watching it and we're like, this is win or go home.
Yeah.
Like again, it creates a much more fun and electric viewing experience, because the stakes are present. You know the rules. You agreed to play by these rules, and everybody that's watching knows, here's how this works. Here's how a team qualifies. It's not, well, we'll have to see if the tiebreakers kick in, to give this team an opportunity to play in day 2. No, like, these 2 teams that are playing in round 5, they're 2-2. You need 3 wins to move on. You need 3 losses to be eliminated. So like, we're sitting here, we're like, oh my gosh, watching as like, Long Beach versus Southern Florida is playing.
Which
is that who I'm seeing correctly?
Yeah.
Oh,
you had it up.
Zoomed out for you?
The top
right
one.
there.
Oh, this one.
The top match. Like, you're watching like Long Beach versus Southern Florida play, and this is going down to a game 5, and you're like, oh my goodness,
Here.
like,
For the old man. Let me make this real close. That's too close.
So it made it so much fun. And I thoroughly enjoyed the experience, again, from a spectator perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and this is I really like this format, just like I said, there's no tiebreakers other than like, oh, you're for sure in, you might have some sort of tiebreaker, I would guess, for who's what seed, but that's all you're dealing with, is you're dealing with up to 3 different numbers of seeds, as you can kind of see here. If you're qualified 3-0, you're one of the top 2 seeds. How did you guys break that? Well, I just kind of curious on
it was by if head to head. So like if let's say the teams that went 3-1, so they were playing for seeding for day 2, it was if they played each other, which actually only happened once. All the teams were tied records, only played each other. I think there's only 1 instance of it, or maybe 2 instances of it. Then it was game win-loss differential, and then it was number of points on the leaderboard from the circuit itself.
Okay.
So yeah, I was just, but still, you're qualified. No matter what, you qualified. You may be the 6th seed or the 8th seed. For those ones that are coming in 3-2, you're somewhere in there. You just don't know. Hey, I don't know, but no matter what, it's not. Hey, I'm getting cut out on a tiebreaker that you can't control, right? Most of the time with tiebreakers you can't control, and we've talked a little bit about that in the SAC podcast. In relation to like the qualifier, how they handled the tiebreakers on Sendu, we had a couple of things to comment about that. So like, but no matter what tiebreakers you use, there's always gonna be that. But in this case, as long as you do X thing, you qualify. You just may be a slightly different location. While like a normal Swiss, you could totally be out of it, especially if there's not a perfect number. Luckily with a perfect number, if you had exactly the 16 team like this, Swiss is more predictable, the records. But still, with this case, you just know, hey, I gotta get 3 wins. Doesn't matter the losses, 3 wins, we're in.
Exactly. And I think to that as well, with having more defined lines, I think the one slight drawback to having this type of format but it's also a pro to the whole idea of how we've constructed the circuit. The little give and take is rewarding the teams that like were the number 1 seed. Like there really is not a whole lot of reward to being the number 1 seed in this case, because the one perk is you get a slightly more favorable matchup in round 1. Yeah, and then from there, fate takes takes you the rest of the way. In terms of how Battlefy wants to pair you up in matches and whatever. So I understand that there can be some frustrations on that end, but at the same time, one of our goals with the circuit was we didn't want teams to feel pressured to play in every circuit event, because a circuit should not be like that. Now, I do think that we did fall short of our goal on that front, because I do think the general sentiment among teams was that we need to play in every single event if we want to qualify. So, yes, I do think that there is room for improvement there, and we already have ideas on how to do so. Again, an exchange of ideas and information with SAC, for example, I think would be very beneficial here. But we didn't want teams to have to worry too much about, hey, we need to really play all 5 qualifiers so we could get that number 1 seed for this really big advantage. It really should just be the 16 best teams make it to really fight it out against each other. So yes, there are very big pros and cons to how this format and the whole circuit system feeds into each other. But I do think that at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter who you play. You just need to beat whoever is in front of you. So I do think that this format does a good job of putting everyone on a mostly level playing field if you make the finals.
Yeah, obviously, as you said, points, which to some extent the 16 seed might not have played as much too, so they could actually be stronger than they show. So it's a little bit of unfortunate there. Sometimes you just get those funky seedings where hey, a team didn't play as much. That is one of the downsides of a circuit. But your number 1 seed didn't actually make the playoffs.
Exactly, they're one of the ones with the biggest gripes here, which I understand. I completely understand. But at the end of the day, you had to have beaten one of them. You only needed to beat one of them.
Yeah. I mean,
that happened in 2 or 3. I think that happened in 3 divisions.
It happened in 3 out of 4 of the divisions where the number 1 seed did not make it on to day number 2.
Yep.
They won.
Again, say what you will about it.
They, using the number 1 seed here for the first. We're talking about Div 1. This is Div 1 that I've been showing the whole time for reference. UCF is the UCF Knights were there. They lost to VCU, which VCU was that your ultimate winners? I can't remember.
Yes, VCU ended up winning the whole event.
But that's a respectable loss in the end. Now that you know the results of everything, they ended up being the toughest team of anybody. And they're sitting at 1-1 then. That's still fine. And you lost out one of the better teams. I think most people knew VCU was one of the best teams going into this, even though they're the 4 seed. They had won Riptide just a few months before that.
They won Booyah Bowl 3.
Yeah, so they've always been up there at minimum, even if they don't necessarily get the wins all the time. I think they had 1 qualifier win.
No, they're not consistent. They had one qualifier win. Yeah,
So
VC is
they-
not consistent, but they win when it matters most.
So they're always in that conversation. You never know if they're gonna pull it out or if they're gonna fumble. If the big fat sea cows, sometimes you just get lazy as a big fat sea cow, as one myself. I'm just kidding. Sometimes you get lazy, other times you lock in. So they're able to get at UCF, but then they lost the last two. They lost two in our Old Bay Brigade, which was the second seed. So again, another one that's respectable loss. Regular season, they were the second highest team, but then they lost here in the winner go home. Just using it as a thing where like that they had opportunities to win, and if you're going based on seeding, they placed the 16th seed, the 10th seed, the 4th seed, the 2nd seed, and the 11th seed, and they beat the 11th seed and the 16th seed, but lost to the 10th, the 2nd, and the 4th. Which the 2nd and 4th make a lot of sense. Like they should be tough matches because they're theoretically assuming that all else equal, they're the 2nd and 4th most points. So they should be 2nd and 4th most obviously.
But like you said, the seeding doesn't only mean so much because like some of these lower seeded teams, they didn't play in all the events necessarily, et cetera. So I pick on the UCF Knights a lot, and I do apologize for that. You all just have just a fascinating history and story. But like it's really easy to talk about the UCF Knights because they're always in these types of positions that really prompt these interesting discussions, and they do have some very vocal folks as well. So
have you lost?
So again, we're not picking on you, but it's just again easy to tell your story.
You just happen to be the 1 seed this season. Sorry, if you were not the 1 seed, and
like Vapor said, that happened in 3 of the 4 divisions. It happened in Division 2 and Division 4 as well, where the number 1 seed ended up getting eliminated on day 1.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that just shows, and not just in relation to this, but like in general, seeding only matters so much. You should always go out there. If you made the dance, you have a chance to win. Whether that be something like Splatoon, where there is, I think CCA is a very more even playing field than like general Splatoon. Sometimes in general Splatoon matches, you don't have as much evenness between them, but like still, you can go win that. That even you've seen that in league, every single major league. Think of like the undefeated Patriots losing to the Giants. Steelers have made a wild card run, not this year. But like sometimes those, as long as you make the dance, you've made this top 16, you have a chance to win it all. And, that applies whether again, CCA or not CCA, go give it your best shot. Don't
like, look at us.
Don't get complacent at the top either,
Yeah.
Because if they made the dance, even if you win 90% of the matches versus a team, sometimes that 10% just hits a couple times and you're out. You're done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and especially if that 10% is in key situations too.
Yeah,
it does. So like I was saying, like look at us in SAC. Like we were the 3rd seed going in. We were never really the number 1 overall seed, I think, in any of the qualifiers. We were pretty consistently, I think, the number 2 seed. Through every single qualifier that we played in. We recognized that we did not live up to our own expectations or expectations that folks had of us, but we knew that wasn't the goal. The goal wasn't to live up to expectations in the qualifiers. The goal was to win the whole event. And we played to the system that was presented in front of us. It was, you make the dance, you aim for a top 4 seed to get that first round bye, and that's exactly what we did. We knew we didn't need to win a qualifier. We didn't. We came in tied for 5th, and 3rd place, and then dropped to go play Sendu Q.
Yeah, okay, we made the dance there. And that get us we had 3rd seed overall for that. We didn't have 2nd because we got Retro Records who played all 4 past us. Good on them. I'm not no way any issue with that. Like you played more than us, you deserve the spot. and you played well to even be in that conversation. You had to be winning. You had to be quite high consistently to get that many points. So, no shame on them. But it's still like, we were 3rd seed. We made the dance there. But like, there's plenty of lower seeds here in your CCA that ended up making day 2, even just with your Division 1, which doesn't.
I actually don't know who the lowest seed was to make day 2. That's a good question.
UCF aren't they the 11th seed?
USF was an 11th seed in Div 1. Yes, I believe they were the lowest in Div 1.
So for D1, anyways, that's your lowest. You also had the 10th seed make it. You know what? We have this funny thing called tabs cracking. We'll pop this up. Division 1. We can run through it real quick. Mewtwo, I think, had to go, by the way, so we have a black screen for Mewtwo. He said
sorry, I clicked in my head. We had wild cards make it. So like Surging Sea was a 14th seed because they were a wild card team. And they came in 3rd place overall in Div 2. So as an example.
Yeah, that's good. Death Roll was 9th, so they weren't scheduled to make the second day. UCSD obviously was meant to. Yeah, USF was your lowest, 11th and your 10th seed. Just behind them. Made it for D1 anyways. Obviously, you said what division was
11, 10, and 9.
11,
for
10.
Div 1 made it.
Yeah. And you said 14th seed. What division was that?
Or Div 2.
Let me do it on this side. D2.
Yeah, Div 2, we had the 9th seed make it. The 14th seed. And the 10th seed all made it.
Wait, your 10th seed made? I don't see the 10th seed.
No, sorry. No, not the 10th seed.
They have similar names, so yeah, I can see how you missed that. Yeah, no, there was the 9th seed. What about 3? Let's do this. We're gonna live on air together. We're all gonna find this out.
14th seed made it in Div 3. The 10th seed made it. 12th seed made it. And the 13th seed made it. So 3 of our 4 wildcard teams made it in the Div 3 finals, which again, we were expecting a couple of them to do well. I don't think we expected like all 3 of them make it. I knew like we kind of picked wildcard teams that we like, these are teams that are going to be able to hang. We think that probably one of them will get in, maybe 2, but I don't think any of us ever thought that 3 wildcards would make it in any of the divisions. So Div 3 was a fun surprise there.
Even look
at
at
a bunch
Push.
of low seeds in Div 4 make it.
Yes.
High Tide.
No, Div 4 was the biggest surprise. Because
High Tide, your 16th seed makes it.
High Tide, for a quick reference here, High Tide was literally the last team in our committee discussion to get a playoff spot or a circuit final spot. They were the very last team. They were in contention with another team, and the committee spent like 15 minutes debating these 2 teams. And High Tide barely got the edge to get into this event. And I believe the largest rationale for that was that they probably stood a better chance, and the committee was more impressed by their 2 results as opposed to, I think the other team had 3 or 4 results. So the committee was like, High Tide can actually make a run at this, and they only started in qualifier 4.
Curious, if you don't mind us asking, who was the other team? Just for
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I mean, it's not a big deal. I was just curious.
Yeah.
What school they were.
So what? 16, 14, and 13 all made it in Div 4. Yeah.
14, 13, yeah.
And 15. No, all 4 wildcard teams made it in Div 4.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, I think Div 4.
Team. I don't think this team made it.
No,
did they not?
They did.
Okay. My bad.
No, they were.
Because they lost to Holy Snail in round 5.
But
so still 3 of them made it.
Just outside. They were the first. They were the last cut.
Yeah.
I don't think I was more impressed by anybody other outside of the Div 4 wildcard teams, because
look
I
at
think
SSU.
Well, SSU, I had high expectations for. They won Div 4 earlier in the season, and they were a wildcard team because they were supposed to qualify for Div 3, but based off of the rules of the dynamic divisions, and they kind of, didn't do so well in Div 3 in comparison, so we said, hey, let's bring them back down to Div 4. They did win Div 4 at one point. They can probably hang.
I mean, your two of your wildcard teams made the top 3 for D4. That being SSU and Push, both being 13 and 14 seed, which were wildcards, as you point out. And then, of course, the winners of it was the number 2 overall team. So, that wasn't a huge surprise. I would say, they obviously were in the dance at the high seed for a reason, but still, that's a great job there by the wild card committee did well. Pat on your guys on the back there for you guys for that.
And especially because the number 1 team that didn't make it here in Div 4 either. So
no.
Yeah, I'm sure that when the Llamas saw that the Shadow Warriors got eliminated day 1, they probably that was, if I had to guess, that was probably the moment the Llamas knew that they could win the circuit. So shout out to the Llamas, one of my favorite teams. I just think it's cool that you have a llama as a mascot.
For us having so many water-based things, it's nice to have a land-based animal, even look at
even just for colleges, there's always wildcats and bulldogs. And it's I'm a llama. Come on.
I think that is pretty cool. But and on top of that, even those, a lot of them will convert that into some sort of animal. Look at lionfish for PSU. The Nittany Lions. Well, now they're lionfish, and so you've converted this into a name adjacent animal. And there's plenty of examples of that in CCA. And no means am I saying this is a bad thing, because it's cool because it incorporates our esport, right? But it's just kind of one of those things where you go, it's so weird to see a land-based animal, and on top of that being a llama, as you said. It's not a wildcat, it's not a bulldog, or these very classical animals. It's a llama, oh yay. Was there anything more we want to talk about? Because we're actually over our planned 2 hours.
I know.
To the point you two had to go, because 2 hours was his hard cutoff today.
Yeah, which is fair. I guess obviously we could sit here forever and dissect the circuit, but I think that the discussion that we should end on is, should we see this type of format in more tournaments in the Splatoon community? And what, is there anything that the Splatoon community could take away from this type of event? Again, I know that there's things that we definitely have taken away from running it ourselves that we want to iterate on, and feedback that we've received, but what can the community take away from this?
I'm gonna switch this real quick, back to our normal view. I think is a better place. We don't need to have that up anymore. We've talked about it a lot. We can come nice and close to you all. We missed you. We were so far away, small little boxes in the bottom. To the point Mewtwo ran.
Good thing Mewtwo's gone.
Well, he didn't have his image from the beginning, so hold on, I can where's it at? I don't know. I can never mind. Go ahead. Go. You want to go ahead and do with your thoughts, Vapor, while I do shenanigans?
Nah, it's fine.
You want to answer your thoughts?
No, it's
you
fine.
have so much thoughts on this format. You helped create it. What can people learn from the Splatoon community? That's what you can't tell me you don't have thoughts on how this could be implemented and lessons learned from this.
I love it. I love this format. I've loved it from the beginning. That's why I've always wanted to take lead on this with any type of two-day event. It's very hard to run with it in one day, if not nearly impossible to. So once you have that opportunity to run a 2-day event, this format, if you know the amount of players, works wonders.
It's a numbers game. That's what TOing is. It's if you're a TO, you have to like playing with numbers in some capacity because it's just a big puzzle of how can I maximize playtime and minimize the amount of like time sitting around and whatever, but also make this a fun spectator experience. It's a big puzzle. And this format accomplishes so much. But again, like Kraken mentioned, you do need a very specific number to pull this off. So should folks be running to make this a standard format in every event? No. Like obviously not, because you're gonna like put the cutoff at 16 teams and then, only let a team start to play again if you reach 32. Like
it's too
it doesn't
hard.
make sense.
It's too hard unless it's you're gonna get around those numbers. Or I think it could be really utilized into like a finals though, similar to kind of how you did. I think that's where you can put it, where you can say I'm gonna have this many teams. If someone drops, we already know how like Low Ink has, hey, you're on standby, kind of thing. Those, hey, we know we can pull from 4 other teams. Hey, you're on standby in case someone drops. Also, by the way, every time I talk, Mewtwo saying is gonna jump, but Mewtwo is back totally. But like, I think that's where you can learn the most from this and utilize it if more people are going to utilize it.
Yes, and it works so well if you are cultivating storylines already, because you can start to be like, wow, this team has, reached this point. Here are the stakes. Like, it works so well when you do have consistent teams, and I know that leads into a separate discussion about pickup versus team culture.
Next TZS episode. We've toyed with that.
So, but like, I think that this would be, I know Falco's already set on doing, I believe, double elimination for the LAN championship. But I think a format like this, it could also be something really fun to run. It's still double elimination in its nature, with 8 teams, because you would, yeah. So like, but you could still run it. And I do think that there is a world that you can, play with that idea, with 8 teams, and you'd have some of that continuity, from the teams that they built their storyline within their region, and now you have a really fun number to work with, whatever. But I think if you want to run something like this, similarly, but want a slightly more flexible format, then we could start talking about GSL, where GSL requires multiples of 4. So, and it outlines the stakes right in front of your face. You need to either win 2 matches or lose 2 matches. Simple as that to move on to the next round. It's the same exact idea, just in groups of 4. So that would work really well. But yeah, I do think that folks need to be willing to play with some numbers a little bit more. But obviously part of our issue is that we have all these open tournaments, and there's a lot of these really fun and dynamic formats only work when you can curate to that specific number that you need. And it's only possible to do that curation when you have a longer event, such as a league or a circuit, that can force you into this type of format. So this is meant to be something that you can kind of build at, this is what you want the finish line to look like. Now, how can you build in front of that?
And that's where you can put a lot of your more standardy kind of Swisses and double limbs that are just easy to run, that everyone understands. And the nice thing is, too, when you're getting these teams at the end, they at least have experience. They're not, I don't know how to do this. It's weird, because it is when you first hear it, you're like, what the are you guys doing? What, it goes to a BO3 and it's a BO5, and I only have to play 3 rounds? What the but I might have to play 5? What? Like, is it both a player and a TO and a commentator? I've done pretty much everything, production, where it's like, there's this kind of slight where people can do that. But now these teams have played that. As long as you explain it, which you guys, it seems to have gone well. Like it's understandable, especially with the graphic that we had, which is really, really helpful. I like this kind of thing, and I think maybe that might be a good TZS podcast topic, is just diving into a bunch of these different formats and what other esports
Waterfall.
do.
Waterfall.
Ray's favorite, by the way. Don't let anybody
if
Don't
Ray says
DM
anything
Ray's
else.
waterfall.
No, DM Ray's. Just kidding.
DM Ray's waterfall.
DM Ray's waterfall. I'll DM Ray's right now.
But like, genuinely, I think that might not be a bad topic. Is just diving, because you guys have done so much research on different things. Maybe Keon was another one you guys dived into. Was one of your people you've I think Keon, and who else? You guys have all kind of really dived into esports. Kira.
Yeah, Kira from CCA is really big in other esports. So there's a number of us that have a lot of experience with, researching and being part of other professional esports.
So that might be a good TZS topic for us to talk about. We would have to get a lot of graphics, I think, for that one put together. Mm-hmm. But
yeah.
But so that might be one where I sit out and I just do the button pressing. But that might not be a bad idea. Just kind of introduce a lot of Splatoon people to these different different styles. And I think CCA is a good start to that. Some of these more common styles that aren't in Splatoon. You know what I mean? You talked about all the different leagues that do this. What is it? COD, Rocket League, something else. There were like you gave like 4 examples earlier.
Rocket League, League of Legends, and I think one of COD or Valorant does.
Still though, like there's plenty of different varieties. You talked about I already forgot the acronym, but the 4-team ones,
GSL.
GSL. I was like, I know there's an L in there. I think there's an S.
Global Strike League.
I'm putting there's a lot of letters in my eyes right now. You guys can't see them. But I think showing people this and maybe some other TOs that are interested, they may be able to start learning from that a little bit more. And it's something that I've dabbled in, not less than you guys. And, it's just interesting to look at all of this different stuff. And sometimes you can kind of pull a lot of different lessons that maybe you tweak even a format we use and just slightly tweak it. And it becomes a lot. I mean, this modified Swiss is just a slight tweak to what other people are used to. It's modified Swiss. Everyone knows Swiss at this point. If you're in the Splatoon community, you know Swiss. But now you the only thing you have to know is don't get 3 in the L department and you're good. Like, get 3 in the W department. And so in a way, it's both more complicated but simpler. Just slightly tweaking the rules. So I think that might be a good podcast topic. Is genuinely diving.
I could spend solid 30 minutes talking about why I love the Apex Legends format. It is by far my favorite tournament format, and we'll save that for a separate discussion. But it's just so much fun. Like, trust me, a lot of people have like big critiques about it, and I get why. But it is the perfect spectator format.
I need to remind myself on that.
Match point format. But it's also but it's also semi-waterfall / double elim.
Oh my gosh. Everything. Double everything.
It's bizarre.
Everything.
It only works in Apex Legends.
So I think if there's not anything more before we get too far off, but I think if we have anything more CCA, probably should talk about that. And I think we should wrap up because, like I said, we're gonna end it at like a half an hour later. We've said to ourselves we want to keep this at 2 hours. We don't keep this an hour and a half, but if we go to 2 hours, we're okay with that. We're at 2.5 hours.
Just because we're yappers.
Yeah, it's us 3.
We can talk for hours, genuinely, just talk for hours and hours and hours. And we've barely talked about anything but CCA with other like that. A little dabble of format, a little dabble of Riptide, a little dabble of some other stuff. We do this, by the way, just randomly all the time, where we're just BSing about whatever. We finish up a tournament and we'll look, 2 hours after the tournament ended, streams have been off, and we just talked for 2 hours about some random thing that doesn't even relate to the tournament. This is just what TZS does. Before the first podcast, Vapor and I talked for over an hour about stuff related to the podcast, or not even that podcast episode. It ended up being mostly for the SAC one, but still, we could genuinely just talk about whatever all the time for hours upon hours, and we never stick to our time, which is both a good and a bad thing. Bad thing being Mewtwo has to go. Good thing being we like talking.
Yeah. all that to say, if you do have topic ideas, you could always drop them in the TZS Discord server, because we will yap about most things, unless it's an idea from you two. But yeah, we'll chat about anything. And I know that there's a lot of stuff that I still could have even gone into with the CCA. But if you do want to learn more about the CCA, go check out the CCA Discord and social media, CCA Splatoon on Blue Sky, CCA_Splatoon on Twitter, and then on both of those social media channels, you'll find the Discord channel, twitch.tv/CCA_Splatoon, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Where we have the podcast, we talk about other stuff there too. So yeah, there's a lot. I mean, it's been going on for 4.5 years. I've been around for all of them. Vapor's been pretty much around for most of them. And it's officially as a staff member for a year now. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. So we'll do more CC discussion, here and there on the TZS podcast, but we'll definitely do more over on the respective CCA channels.
If you do want to pay more attention, CCA League Season 6 is coming up around the corner too. Entrance exam was announced as well. So if you're a college student, find your team at your university and try to get people together for entrance exam and the upcoming league.
Absolutely.
I'll have for those that are watching this, I'm going to drop a link in the live chat, but I'll also have the link to the Discord for CCA stuff, and I'll probably throw the YouTube and such in there too in the description. So if you are watching this later, and even if it's like Season 8, let's be real, so I think CCA is going to keep going for a long time.
One could hope. I don't know if I could keep going.
But I mean, that's part of it. It's like real collegiate, right? Collegiate, every team, you always cycle at. Realistically, most people only are going to be there about 4 years, give or take, plus or minus one. Occasionally if people go for 5 years, some people graduate quickly or only didn't learn about the team until they were a junior, and so they only play for a couple years or whatever, right? So
I can call me a super senior.
but so like for you've been doing it for over 4 years now, and so
that's why you call me a super
time to move
senior,
on, buddy. This is the CCA Discord. There's your CCA Discord for your live chat, or you could type it in down there if you're feeling really lazy to not click the description. You can type it right there. Apparently it sent it twice in the chat. I don't know why. That was weird. Thank you, Restream. You're great. You're usually really good, but that was weird. Anywho, go check out the CCA, folks. Really cool. We love them here at TZS. As much as we troll them occasionally. Bags.
Out of reach now.
And go to Riptide and also compete in the CCA event. That totally, it totally it will be a thing, and totally not leaking anything. No, Riptide was announced.
I think everyone knows it's gonna.
Yeah,
it's gotta happen.
We've given so much love to CCA at Riptide and collegiate as a whole. Pending something crazy happening, we would. We would not have CCA. Like, I will drag you. I'll run the CCA event. Like, at worst, like, I will drag collegiate. I think it's one of the greatest things we do at Riptide, other than the main event. I really like that we do collegiate, just because, like, I think highlighting colleges is really cool. And if we had a bunch of high schools we could get around, I would do high school too. Like, I love that, getting those these youngins.
Don't get me started on another topic.
High school is another topic.
That is another topic that I have many choice opinions on.
But still, I think it's cool that high school, as someone who grew up where esports was just like, as I was getting out of high school into and then took a few years off where I went to college, it's just starting to be picked up, especially at the high school level. It's just starting, and collegiate is for Splatoon is only so much it's growing quickly because schools are finally grabbing it. it's really cool to hear when the high schools are doing it. Even if we have our thoughts on the way things are going with it, it's still cool that it exists. We'll concede. We'll leave it at that. I think, right, David? I think that's fair.
Yes, we'll leave it at that. Not a discussion.
Alrighty, everyone. We really appreciate anything final before we officially wrap it up. Vapor or David?
I need to pee.
So do I.
I'm hungry.
I think we're gonna wrap up both my normal stream. No, normally we've gone into where we've played something afterward, but I don't think people are available tonight. So like Mewtwo had to go already. So like we're gonna wrap up for tonight. Both stream for TZS Podcast and general stream. We appreciate you guys coming out. We really appreciate the support for the podcast. We appreciate you guys coming in, chatting with us, having some laughs at Adam and Nito, just to name a couple of y'all that popped in and made us laugh a little bit tonight. We really appreciate y'all. We'll be back soon, TM, with the next TZS podcast. With one of the topics that we've probably already partly discussed today.
Off 3 times.
Yeah. That too. That could be that. It could be one of the other topics. And yeah, I think that's all. You guys have a fantastic night. We'll see you soon.
Happy New Year's, everyone.